Hi friends, we all have heard about world wars, Gulf wars and even Cold wars. But what if I tell you that there exists a war potentially as damaging to the countries as the other three wars? And you don't even have to fire a single bullet to cause such destruction. Yes, we are talking about trade wars. Hi guys, I am Dheeraj and welcome to WallStreetMojo, the home to most authentic information about finance and accounting. And today we'll fire guns and tanks to explain what actually is trade war. So, what is trade wars? Trade wars are something that takes place when a country tries to attack each other's economy by targeting trade through taxes, could be duties, tariffs, sanctions, and so on. It's like a tit for a tat scenario where one country raises tariff, which is nothing but taxes on imported goods and services, and which then leads to retaliation from the other country by increasing their tariffs too. A recent example to this is the silent trade between the US and China. Yes, they have been going at each other. Come on, you all know it. And if you don't, then listen to this. The US imposed tariffs worth 360 billion on Chinese goods, which then forced China even to retaliate with a 110 billion tariff on the US products.
Game on here. A trade war between the United States and China is here. It's real. At the stroke of midnight, the U.S. hit China with tariffs on $34 billion worth of goods. China immediately responded with its revenge tariffs of equal value, accusing the U.S. of launching the largest trade war in economic history and calling America a trade bully.
Yes, it's like what you do to me, I can do the same to you. So before we move ahead, I want all of you to understand that trade wars are typically a byproduct of protectionism. It simply refers to the actions and the policies any government takes to restrict international trade. Now, why do governments go for protectionism? There can be many answers to this. Generally, any government resorts to protectionism when it sees that there is a need to protect its domestic jobs and businesses from foreign competition. And besides this, protectionism also offers countries an option to balance out their trade deficits, which usually occurs when a country's imports exceed its exports. Now, protectionism is not the only cause that triggers a trade war. And another scenario where a trade war can be triggered is when a country indulges in unfair trading practices and does something that it shouldn't. In such a case, countries generally resort to tariffs to let others know that they can't have their way. Another interesting feature of trade war is that these weapons of trade wars can be found everywhere in the world that we live in. Now, these could include the food that we eat, to the headphones that you use, or the laptop that you use to do your daily work. So, the weapons of trade wars are not the guns and the tanks, right? But they include policies that suck the life out of the country's trade. So, some of the tools are like this. Tariff, which involve putting taxes on the products that can be imported. Then comes the import quotas, where a limit is set on the number of any particular good that can be imported. And finally comes the embargo. Embargo means officially banning the trade of a specific product in that country. So you see why trade wars have sharp edges. Because they cut the fabric of any flourishing economy. Just imagine being caught in a trade war where suddenly your favorite protein shake got banned. Or maybe a mobile app just got very expensive. And obviously, you just can't change your country for this reason because your mobile app is too costly now. So, as suffocating as it may sound for consumers like us, the strange truth is that these trade wars do have a positive impact on a domestic economy. trade wars basically help in creating an environment which protects the domestic companies from unfair competition. It also promotes job growth in that country, and also it improves trade deficit. Also, in some cases, these trade wars can pose an interesting scenario and can boost the fortunes of an economy that is not even a part of these trade wars. And to understand this, we have to rewind the clock just a bit. So it was the year of 1930s and the US enacted this Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which imposed some serious tariffs on Canada and the other European countries. Now, naturally, this evoked a response from Canada and its other trading allies, right? And what did they do? So they retaliated by imposing tariffs on US goods, and some even looked for new trading partners. And this is where the Soviet Union gained new trading allies and started to turn around its fortunes. So as they say, somebody's loss is somebody's gain. Seems so appropriate here, doesn't it? So speaking of the gain and losses, it's obvious that these trade wars do act as a positive factor for the domestic economy, right? However, it has its flip side too. And because eventually it's a war, it has its fair share of disadvantages as well. So let's look at some of them. So the first thing that the trade war does is that they discourage international trade, which eventually slows down the economy in the long run. Secondly, these trade wars usually result in increased cost of goods and services in the economy, which in the long run turns into sustained inflation. And finally, trade wars hurt diplomatic relations as well and prevents any cultural exchange between the two nations, which eventually is also not good for any economy altogether. Now, moving ahead, let's leave aside these pros and cons for a minute and find out who actually emerges victorious in a trade war. After all, it's a war, right? So somebody has to lose and somebody has to win. Now, here is what most of us would think, that the country that exports most would be the winner, right? However, it's quite the opposite. And experts feel that the country which exports fewer goods to others is most likely to withstand the clash and come out victorious on the other side. And why is that? The reason is that the more goods you ship to another country, the more vulnerable your goods are to these punishing tariffs. So it's like importing more saves your pocket. I hope that makes sense. Okay guys, that's me, Dheeraj, signing off for today. Do let me know what you think of trade wars in the comment section below. I hope you found this video to be useful. Please do like and share. And if you have any feedback or want to suggest a topic for any future videos, then you may do so by writing about it in the comment section. Also, we come up with interesting videos on finance and accounting topics regularly. So if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, then please do so by clicking on the subscribe button so that you can get the notification as soon as we release the new video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.